Hey, random people out there on the internet. Time for the next video in my beginner series. Today we'll be starting a new project that's going to require a little bit more attention to detail, a little bit more precision, and maybe a couple of new tools. So let's start out by telling you what I got. I've got some mesquite wood that I bought, and it's not cheap. So let's take a look at what it looks like. Here's a piece of it, a couple of pieces of it, and you can see it's got some voids in there. It's got some rough bark edges going on. You have to look at a piece of wood from all perspectives to get an idea of what you can and cannot use. So these are actually cut-offs from some that I've cut out of it for the shelving I'm going to build. So to give you an idea of what I'm building a shelf. It's going to be about yay high. It's going to have 3 shelves on it. It's going to sit in my bathroom. It's going to have things like shampoo and cleaners and whatnot on it. But I decided, you know what, this gives me an opportunity to actually build something a lot nicer than what we've been seeing lately. I've done a few things off camera in straightening my wood and getting it looking a lot better than what you saw here. I used the same methods that I used earlier videos in reclaiming bad wood and things like that. And let's look at what we got. So here's the 5 pieces that I'll be using for the shelf. These are the legs, and these are the cross members. Now, the way I want to do this is that if you look really closely here, you see I've drawn a couple lines, and the shelves are going to sit like this. However, just doing a simple butt joint on there is not going to be strong enough to hold any significant weight. So what I want to do is I want to cut a recess or a groove in here so that these sit down in there, and then when I glue them up, they'll have 3 sides for the glue and they'll attach a lot better. There are a number of ways to cut a groove into a piece of wood, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a router. So I do have a series of videos out there about using routers, but just as a quick recap and how we're going to be doing this one. So first of all, you got your motor and you got your base, and in this case you got a battery. To make a groove, you're going to need a nice flat bit. The easiest way to put the bit in is to do that before you put the base on, or the motor in, the base, so that you can get to that wrench, that nut, easy enough. Then you're going to want to slip that base down on there. In my case, I have a couple of grooves here that match a couple of little nuggets on the inside. Shove it down in there. Now, I want to cut these grooves about 1/4 inch deep, and I found me a piece of scrap that's 1/4 inch deep, and I can use that to set the bit. I also have some setup blocks that do the same thing, but this might be something you wait for a little bit before you invest in them. They're in 1/16 inch increments so that you can make virtually any size you want. But the neat thing about these setup blocks is that 1/4 inch setup block is 1/4 inch thick. It's 1/4 inch here. It's 1/4 inch here. It's 1/4 inch here. Basically, any way you set it, you can find 1/4 inch. And in the case of a router, you can take and raise that router bit up until you can pass this over it and just barely feel it. Almost there. Okay, I have it just about 1/4 inch deep there, and I'll lock that in place. On my router, you also want to make sure that this is locked in place. So we got our router set up. Now the next challenge will be to ensure that we're able to stay in these lines. Maybe you're a person that has some really steady hands and you can just take and freehand right through there, but Most of us don't have that steady of a hand, and if you're my age, you certainly don't. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how this is set up and make some grooves in here. You'll note though that before I even started, I evened up the boards so at the end is exactly flush. Okay, the issue here is that I want to make sure that this line is exactly the same height on both legs, so that when I put my cross piece in there, it's nice and level. If you clamp it up like this, and you can draw all your lines at the same time. Also, this piece just happens to be the size of the groove that I want, minus a little bit. Because what we'll do is that when I go to make these, I'll make a pass. It kind of goes down the center, and then I'm going to line up some kind of straight edge, and I'm just using this for an example. I'll be lining up some kind of straight edge along the edge like this, so that when I pass my router through and I have it up against that edge, the bit's going to strike it right where I want it to. You can barely see if you're on this side that I can line my bit up so that it just barely touches that line, so that when I pass through, I'll have rooted out most of the bulk of the wood. They call hogging it out. And then I'll sneak up on it, test fit, sneak up on it, test fit until I get just exactly a nice tight fit. So we're going to see that in upcoming videos, but for now that's it. I do want to post a little bit or add to my most recent video about what a person needs from a personality standpoint to be successful in developing this craft. Number one was patience. Another one was tenacity and the ability to focus. What I didn't mention is another very important trait, problem solving. And when I set this up, we're going to see how that works out as well. I want to thank you for watching. The next video, we're going to see how this works out for me. So in the meantime, please be safe.